So now we'll start in Rhino. We're going to make, let's say, a coliseum or a stadium. We're going to make it bowl-shaped, so it'll be cylindrical, curvature type of object, and we're going to use the lofting tools to do that. And so the first thing I want to do is kind of direct you to setting Rhino up the correct way. So under File, I'm going to go to New. We won't save the changes to this existing document, but it'll take you to an application that allows you to pick the starting part of the document. And so I'm going to suggest that you start as a large object. It goes all the way down to small objects. The idea being that this is a very versatile tool. It'll work from making jewelry all the way up to yachts and architecture. So we're going to start with a large object in feet and inches, and we'll go ahead and open that. And we could probably do a save as if we want. Do a save. And I'm going to just save it to my document, and I'll just call it Stadium. And we'll go ahead and save that. And now I want a large working environment. So what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm just going to pull Grasshopper down, and I'm going to maximize our screen here. And I have 4 windows, and we're really just going to work in the perspective mode. So I'm just going to maximize that for now. And I'll use the center scroll button to zoom out. And what I want to do right away is create a, and if you hold the right, you can actually pivot a little bit, the right mouse button. And I think the left mouse button, you have to hold the shift down. I forget which one it is in order to move the screen. There it says it's pan, shift, and the right mouse button. So I'm not sure why that wasn't working for me there. Pan view, and the shift and the right mouse button. So I'm not, oh, there, for now it's functioning. So that's the functionality to square that off. So the goal here is to now draw a boundary, so we don't exceed it with the sculpture that we're going to make. And I'm going to use a rectangle tool that's under Standard. All right, you may have something else set here now, but we'll go to Standard. We'll grab the rectangle, and we can click and drag just like we would in other software, but I'm not going to click this final point yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to input a distance and hit return. Oops, I actually didn't mean to do that. Let me go ahead and show you how to delete this, because you'll probably do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to select that and delete it. And I'll start again with the rectangle. Click. And then I'm going to put in 200. Enter. And then 200 in the other direction. Enter. And now I have a rectangle. And I'll grab the arrow tool now and select this, and I can actually move this so it's somewhat centered in our grid system. So with that set, now I want to actually make my first curved surface. So I'm going to grab the control point curve tool, and I'm just going to lay out some points. I'll make these relatively generous because you'll see what happens with the ultimate curve. And I'm going to come back and touch that one so it closes it. This is a really nice functionality compared to how Revit does this type of thing. And we can now kind of manipulate that curve any way we want. We obviously want this thing to be a little bit not a perfect circle, so I'm going to manipulate it. And we can look at this from the top view. If we go down here, we have a tab for the top view. Let me just zoom out so we can see this. And you can see how I'm actually not I'm trying to do to mouse it over, and I'm not having a lot of functionality with that, the hand tool. So anyway, I'm just going to pull these so they're just touching the perimeter of our shape here. And this is the full size one, so it kind of is like the middle of the bowl. We'll have it smaller a little bit smaller at the base. So I'm going to go ahead and make another one. And we'll manipulate that a little bit. So I'll click on it and select it. And we don't really want it to match the other shape just to create some kind of uniqueness to it. But we do, it wants to be relatively substantial. It's the bottom of the bowl. And that's good. And then we're going to have like an oculus, an opening at the top. And that's probably a bit tiny. So I'm going to grab that and kind of stretch it out. And if we're used to doing any kind of modeling inside of Revit, you know how much nicer this whole experience is. So let's go ahead and look at that at the perspective view. And now we're going to end up lofting these shapes up. So if I was to grab this one, I want to actually move that in a vertical plane. And I have to figure out how to get that to show up. So now I want to move up the larger ring to be the center. So I'm going to actually highlight that. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. I'll go ahead and highlight that. And we'll look at it from the front view. And we can just grab that and slide it up a bit. I'll go back to the perspective view. And we'll grab that oculus ring. And I'll go back to the front view. And we'll slide that up. And we're just experimenting and playing around here. So you can go back and manipulate these curves later on, but this gives us a good start to start generating our shape. Now, we could just actually select all these lines and loft them together, but I thought it would be really valuable to use Grasshopper to import it so we can start to do a little bit of, I guess, playing with the functionality of Grasshopper and seeing how similar it is to what we would do in Dynamo. And we'll pick that up next.